And what's up, everybody? We're back. Well, I guess I'm back with another episode of the Talkin' NASCAR podcast, soon to be called the Live Laugh Left podcast. I think we're settling on Live Laugh Left. I think we are. Still not 100%. It's pretty much 100% official at this point that we're settling on Live Laugh Left. So, any objections can put in the comment section down below. Anyway, this is Talking NASCAR podcast episode number 102, and it is the 2024 season finale episode. Sadly, as you can see, Garry is not here. He had an emergency and could not join us tonight, but he seems to be okay. Don't worry about him, guys. He's doing okay. He really wishes he could have been here and just sadly could not. So you get all of me today. And we got a lot to talk about. Of course, the NASCAR season is in the books now. Phoenix is done. Champions have been crowned. We'll go over all of that. Kind of who won the championships. Kind of what was going down in the races and whatnot. There was only one penalty post-Phoenix. We'll talk about it in a minute, too. There is some silly season stuff and a few other things. And then, of course, at the end, no race preview really this time. We will kind of just wrap up everything about 2024 for the podcast and for the NASCAR season, including saying farewell to some things that are saying their goodbyes to NASCAR in 2024. And then, of course, I will also go over who made the 2024 running of the NASCAR New Year's Eve Spectacular. I'll pick a winner for that as well. Even though it's still about a month and a half away, we are at least not planning on having an episode before that. So that's why we're going to do it now. Anyway, first we got to talk about Phoenix. First for the truck race, going into a season finale where they really needed a good race based off of what happened last season. And I have to say right off the bat that, yeah, they got what they needed. Frankie Muniz spun early. There's also a huge crash in the in stage for Frankie Muniz. He ended up backing in the wall pretty hard and had to go to the hospital and ended up being injured. But it seems like he's going to make a recovery, but pretty scary stuff there. John Wood crashed in the second stage, but nothing too crazy there. Things picked up, though, in the third stage with the big one. Yeah, Phoenix. Pretty wild, huh? A lot of drivers were collected. Sauerlich was collected. Tyler Ankrum was collected. And a few more. And on that same restart, Corey Heim got a restart violation. Because we'd love to see that. You ready for a lot of restart violations? Because there were a lot of them this weekend. But that's, pretty crazy stuff. More problems happened later down the line. There was another spin, a couple more spins from a few other drivers, but at the end of the day, it really was not close as far as it came to the championship battle, with Ty Majeski pretty much dominating the race. I think he led all but 18 laps on the day, won both stage. No, he didn't. He won one of the stages, and then ends up winning the race and his second Truck Series championship. Now, I have to say, out of all four of the truck drivers, I think Ty Majeski was the least deserving of the champions, just because I think he had the worst season out of the four of them. But as far as his performance in this race, he 100% earned it. He put on a show, clinic even. Nobody really could catch him, even on restarts. So it was very, very exciting to see that. Pretty much all but flag to flag dominance. So good job, Ty Majeski, for pulling off the big win. So that was really good. As far as then we get to the Xfinity race, there was a stage 2. Stage 1 was completely caution free. Then we get to stage 2. Anthony Alfredo and Stephen Parsons get together, and Alfredo ends up retaliating and wrecking Stephen Parsons. Huge hit. Took a huge hit in the dog leg. Took him out of the race. And then, so that was a really, really hard wreck. Thankfully, Parsons was okay. Chandler Smith went around. After having a good run, he was in the top 5 when he spun, but sadly that took him pretty much out of contention for the win. On that same attempt, Justin Allgaier got a restart violation on that restart, and so he had to, and coming in, he was of course the big favorite. He was running the best race, and then he has to come down pit road to serve his restart violation penalty. Well, as he is pitting to serve the restart violation penalty, he gets a speeding penalty on pit road. Further just going wild, so that ends up costing him a lap. He's off the pace. You think it's over, but hold on. In the third stage, Anthony Alfredo wrecked early, and then we kind of got a long green flag run that, and then until we got a late caution for Leland Honeyman spinning around. That set up an overtime restart, and oh man, here we go. Parker Retzlaff wrecked in the first overtime. And then in the second overtime, they were finally able to get it done. And a couple of pretty cool things here. Justin Allgaier got saved by some of those cautions in stage 3 to be able to get back on the lead lap, and had by far the best car the entire night, as he was able to rally all the way from the back in under 20, outside the top 20, to rally to get the championship, but he would not win the race. He had the lead on the last lap, but smartly let the much faster car in Riley Herbst make the last lap pass. So Riley Herbst gets the win, but Justin Allgaier wins the championship. Finally, and when they said it was his first championship, I just said, really? This guy has been so dominant for so long in the Xfinity Series. It is insane that it took until now for him to finally win a championship. But it's very, very deserving. Allgaier was the best driver all season in Xfinity, and was, definitely very deserving of this title, and a great comeback as well, from the back-to-back penalties, to rally all the way back from a lap down. It was very, very cool to watch. It's like, it seemed like everything was in his way as far as going to get this championship, and he just said, "Fuck you, I'm going through," and zoomed his way to the championship. But as far as that, we cannot stray away from Riley Herbst's win, his second win of the season, which is good momentum for him going into the offseason. Of course, he's going to be changing rides and whatnot. But we cannot forget that this is a really good send-off win for Stewart-Haas Racing. I was really hoping that they would be able to go off on a good note. I thought that would be with a Cole Custer championship. It was not. Instead, it was a Riley Herbst win instead. So two really good stories from the Xfinity race going off there. And it was really, really nice to see. So congratulations, Riley Herbst, and congrats to Justin Allgaier on your wins. As far as the Cup race, oh boy, this was not a good race, guys. Just saying. We took Logano in fantasy because we said fuck it. Didn't matter at this point. We were out of contention for the fantasy win, and just ready to see a good race. I was hoping. I did not. Ty Gibbs had a mechanical problem, hit the wall really hard on the first lap, that took him out of the race. Other than that, we got a lot of boring. The pace car wrecked, though. The pace car, whoever was driving the pace car is definitely fired by now, but how do you miss the pit entrance like that? Like, he just jerked it all the way to the left, and then he spun into the the sand barriers in pit road. And we got a red flag. Oh, well, yeah, that's really when things started to go downhill. Ricky Spinhouse hit the wall late in the third stage. Hit the wall, not late, but in the third stage. I thought that was going to bring out a caution. It didn't. Same with Ryan Preece having mechanical problems. I mean, as far as, I said Storthaus sending off at a good note with Riley Herbst's win is because they did not put up a good cup showing. Priest was their best driver. He was around, I think, the top 20 when he had the mechanical problem. I think their best finisher ended up being Chase Briscoe at 21st. So kind of a big thud to send off for their cup program. But still, no caution from the Ryan Priest incident. Zane Smith wrecked late, though, kind of late. It was about 30-ish laps to go. Kind of set up a late restart, but it did not really matter. Joey Logano had a big lead. Ryan Blaney was charging hard at the end, and Blaney got right to the back bumper of Logano. But I'm convinced that Blaney decided that Roger Penske, mind you, got into Ryan Blaney's radio and said, you're going to get a big payday if you stay right where you are. Because every time Ryan Blaney got a run on Logano, he just completely stalled out, allowing Logano to gain some ground back, and that just happened a few times. Which means Joey Logano, for the third time in his career, is a champion. He was the only driver I really didn't want to see win the championship, and he won it. The motherfucker shouldn't even have been here. He should have been eliminated in the round of 12. Yet Alex's Bowman's car completely disintegrating apparently was enough for a penalty that allowed him to get in. Lo and behold, of course, he went Las Vegas because he wins the championship. Oh, there's a huge thing going on right now, controversy going on right now about the championship being rigged. Logano says, fuck you. I love the playoffs. And you know why he loves the playoffs? Is because it's in his favor. Ty Majeski winning the championship does not hold a candle to how much of an undeserving championship this is for Joey Logano. This championship should be more for Paul Wolfe than Logano himself. The only 2 wins Logano had gotten before this came off of fuel mileage. Great fuel mileage by Paul Wolfe. Nashville to get him into the playoffs, and then Las Vegas to get him into the Final Four. So, congrats, Paul Wolfe, on your championship. As far as everything else, I mean, it's just stupid. Logano would have finished 17th in regular season points. In fact, he had less top 5s on the season than Ty Gibbs, who was eliminated in the first round. As of there is every year, there's a big call to change the points format. I don't think NASCAR will do it. I don't think they're going to do it because they like the excitement, they like the ratings, and they like the money that comes with it. So if they're making money, why change it? NASCAR, I pray for you to please try something. Just try something new. Or in fact, go back to the regular points system. Shrimple as that. Anyways, yeah, Logano wins the championship. Boo hoo, boo hoo, boo hoo. Kind of went off with a thud for the NASCAR season. This was a bad race. I will not say it. I will not lie. There was the big wreck on the first lap with Ty Gibbs, and then Zane Smith wrecked, but other than that, there wasn't any other cautions for incident. The restarts were kind of exciting, but they kind of died off after a lap or two, and I don't know, it's just like there was really not a lot of good racing. Phoenix as a whole is just a very boring track, and I don't know how many more boring races from this place that we're going to have before NASCAR realizes that and tries to take the championship to a good track, like a 1.5-mile track. Kansas? Homestead? Hell, I'll take Charlotte at this point. But no, we got to stay at the Roval. Okay. But yeah, I thought the truck race was pretty good. The Xfinity race was good. The Cup race was bad though, and it kind of just sucks that we had to go off on that note to end the season. But yeah, and add a further insult to injury. You know, our first fantasy win was in March, and we waited 8 months. It took until nothing mattered. Did not matter that we won anymore, and we finally got another fantasy win. So we finished the year off on 2 wins. That was great. That was awesome. Gotta love the fantasy luck, huh? Anyway, that was it for Phoenix. There was one penalty after the race. It should be pretty obvious. Anthony Alfredo was fined $25,000 and docked 25 points after wrecking Stephen Parsons in the Xfinity race. As far as that, though, it doesn't really the points factor doesn't really matter, as Alfredo's point standing did not change. Still finished 15th. I guess the $25,000 is kind of a penalty, but still, you should probably dock it to start next season because this season doesn't matter. That was the only penalty from Phoenix, and that puts an end to the NASCAR season. Put it in the books. Yes, well, we do have some other things that got to talk about as far as the season goes for silly season stuff. Corey Heim is going back to Tricon in 2025. A disappointing end of the season for Corey Heim. He was the best truck driver all season, but they had things right this season, and I think if they can refine it and be a little bit more consistent next season, I think they could very well win that championship. Also, Matt McCall will not be coming back as crew chief for Brad Keselowski in 2025. So that's kind of surprising, but I guess not super surprising. Kind of surprising, but not super. And then FedEx announced on the day of the championship race that they are officially leaving NASCAR for good. Denny Hamlin posted a really nice tribute video on Twitter that I watched, and it is very emotional. FedEx has been in NASCAR. This will be 20 seasons in NASCAR. They were in NASCAR even before Hamlin was a Cup driver. But they had a good run. Got a lot of cool wins. Had some pretty cool paint schemes. Nothing too crazy, but they always knew what worked and stuck with it. And yeah, another long-time sponsor biting the dust. Salute you, FedEx. I mean, the writing was on the wall, too. This can't be too surprising for anybody out there that's been following this, but it still does kind of suck, you know. And then as far as more drama goes with the 2311 and Front Row Racing drama, I hope by the next time that we do the next episode that this drama is resolved and we can fully dissect it, but so far it has not. But it is getting juicy because there are claims that 2311 and Front Row Racing might not even race next year out of spite against NASCAR. But NASCAR does not care, as they have come back and said. That escalated quickly, especially for 2311 Racing. They had a driver in the championship 4. Like, damn. You're just gonna back out like that? Fuck, that would be strong. Especially Front Row and Front Row Motorsports too. They've been around for a while. It's kind of, you gotta remember they've been around for about a decade now, a little over a decade, and they're on the rise as well. So it's kind of surprising that they're both just gonna back out like this. But like I said, hopefully we get more information about this when we do the next episode, which we'll talk about in a minute when that's going to be. My final piece of news before we start to wrap up the season, it is by far the saddest news. Bobby Allison passed away at the age of 86. He passed away the day of the Xfinity race. So last Saturday. He was 86, but there was no real reports of him being in any health issues. It seems like he went out peacefully in his home, but it is very, very sad. Bobby Allison is a all-time great for NASCAR. He's already a Hall of Famer, and it's gonna really suck to not see him around anymore in NASCAR. So very, very, very sad stuff there. But good timing on NASCAR's part for finally giving him this 85th win right before he died. So that was at least good. At least he died knowing that he had more wins than Darrell Waltrip. So hopefully he went off with some solace with that. So very long-standing thing taken care of. So maybe NASCAR knew, and they said, screw it, just give him the win. But it is a good thing that they went off with that. So rest in peace, Bobby Allison. What a legend. But yeah, I mean, that was all the silly season news I got to talk about. So we kind of wrap up the season now. I mean, this has been a big season. It was our second full-time season with the podcast. Third season in total. We kind of jumped up and expanded some more things. Obviously, now we're going through a rebrand. We got the 100th episode, which is always very fun. And I think overall, just kind of behind the scenes, we've also been establishing more of a structure with the podcast, kind of trying to be a little bit more refined in some areas. And I think we've done a good job at that so far. Both me and Garry have, in my opinion. There was a lot of fun stuff that we did this year. We both went to the MIS race in August, and we had a lot of fun going there, and just did a lot of other cool stuff throughout the year. Got some cool die casts and some other cool merch that we got to show off. And overall, just had a lot of fun with the season, and it was cool to go through the season. It always is. It's always nice to have something to look forward to every week, and that's recording this podcast. And it's always been fun. And, as far as the NASCAR season in general, it wasn't anything crazy. There was some fairly good moments with the next-gen car, of course, under some controversy. A lot of controversy. There's always a lot of controversy, though, so you can't really point the finger at that. But with the next-gen car, they've got a lot of things to work on with the car. It not needing to flip as much, kind of a few other things with that. And just overall kind of like the product, I think we finally saw that Martinsville is at least a serviceable track again. Haven't really seen the same thing for Bristol or Richmond yet. Well, kind of Richmond. Bristol's still kind of lacking, but I think they're going in that direction. But they still have a lot of things to refine. And so that'll be interesting to see what they do over the off season. And hopefully they can get some things fixed over the offseason, because we're going in with that lawsuit drama. Like I said, a lot of stuff with the playoff format's very under scrutiny right now, and a bunch of other stuff. So we'll see where that goes in 2025. But overall, I think it was a pretty good NASCAR season. There was a lot of good parity. We got some good first-time winners, including Harrison Burton getting his first career win. That was very, very exciting. And a few other drivers, too. Nagging their first win. We got a lot of drivers in the New Year's Eve Spectacular this year, and that's what I'm pulling up right now. Austin Cindric got back to victory lane. So did Alex Bowman. They both broke long winning streaks. Chase Briscoe also reached victory lane. Another long winless streak broken. Same with Recky Spinhouse and other drivers. Chris Buescher had seemingly a chance to make. He would have easily made the round of 12, probably even the final 8, had he just a little closer at Kansas. But overall, I mean, it was a good season for a lot of drivers. Chase Elliott reached victory lane as well. Ryan Blaney had so close with the title defense, and then of course Austin Dillon with his Richmond controversy and all of that mess as well. So very, very exciting stuff there. So that's kind of just my overall thoughts on the season for NASCAR. You know, I'm not necessarily the happiest with it right now, but I do think that things can and hopefully will get better into 2025. And again, as for the podcast, it's going to be going underneath the rebrand and a lot of other stuff. So that's going to be very, very exciting. And guarantee that we will be here in 2025. Me and Garry will be here in 2025. But the last thing I want to do, obviously, there's no race this weekend to prepare for. As such, as we go into the off season, we're going to be going into the off season as well with the podcast. We will. There will be no episodes between now. The first episode of our next season, which I guess will be now season 4, will be January 31st, 2025. That's a Friday. That'll be our next episode right before the Clash. So we can kind of go over anything that's happened over the off season, and we could kind of, preview what's going on with 2025, go with the Clash, whatnot, kind of get back into the swing of things. There will only be one off season episode. That'll be Friday, January 3rd, after the New Year's Eve Spectacular is run. Can recap that, and we can catch up on any silly season news that might have happened before then, and then we'll take a few weeks off again before we get back to the swing of things in the regular season. So that should be very, very exciting. But as far as the New Year's Eve Spectacular, who made it? Well, I'll go down the full drivers list. 23 drivers officially qualified. I think that makes it the 4th highest list behind 2011, 2007, and 2022, I believe. Because 2011 is the highest at 27, and then 2007 and 2022 are tied at 24, and then this year is 23. Obviously, Joey Logano. This is in no order, by the way, no particular order. As far as who made it, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch. Joey Logano gets in with his off-pass champions. Kyle Larson gets in with his win, as well as before we forget that, I do want to give some send-offs to a few other things that are ending in 2024 before we get to the New Year's Eve Spectacular. We're going to be saying goodbye to some big things in 2024. Obviously, some of the big ones. Martin Truex Jr.'s career, as a full-time driver at least, comes to an end. He ran a very cool paint scheme on Sunday. I really liked his paint scheme. And he had a good race. Ended off with a good race. Got 2 back-to-back poles. And he will not be gone completely. He's going to run the Daytona 500. And he is going to run more races, he said. But those haven't been announced yet. Also, another retirement that not a lot of people have been talking about is the retirement of Parker Kligerman, who's been in NASCAR now for over a decade, mostly in the Xfinity Series, though he did try his hand at Cup in the mid-2010s with the very controversial Swan Racing team. Even Cole Witt. You remember Cole Witt? That didn't really pan out, but he did run he was mostly a mid-pack to back marker driver, even in the Xfinity Series, until the last couple of years when he has thrown himself back in the spotlight. He made the playoffs this year and came so close to getting his first win, but was screwed over by more officiating blunders, as they always are, and wasn't able to reach victory lane. So, he does leave a good mark on his career, having made the playoffs and being competitive. He'll still be around as a pit reporter. It doesn't seem like he's going to be back in the car at all anymore, though. He seems pretty complacent with just being done. So, send off to those drivers. Well, Truex and Kligerman, we salute you. And also, I already talked about FedEx and their ending with NASCAR. Another really, again, like I said, long-time sponsor of 20 seasons. Done. Really, really sucks. And then, of course, finally, but not last, SHR. Stewart-Haas Racing. Obviously, it's going to be rebranded to just Haas Automotive. or the Haas factory team, or whatever it's going to be called in 2025. You know, they at one point to me seemed like the one of the elites in NASCAR. They were winning races, even won a championship, 2 championships, won the Daytona 500 many times, and were always competitors. But maybe that was just masked by having good drivers. You look at the lineup of drivers that has come through the program since their founding in 2009. They haven't been around that long. This was 16 seasons that they ran in NASCAR. But you had Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman, other greats, Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, even Eric Almirola won some races for him. Even Chase Briscoe got a couple of wins for them as well. Clint Boyer was with them for a few years. He got a couple of wins for him. And then there's Danica Patrick, and Ryan Preece, and Josh Berry. And yeah. And, well, I guess Cole Custer won a race for them, too. Not Daniel Suarez, though. He was with the team. But, yeah, I mean, it just kind of shows that, maybe they weren't the best team. They just had the best drivers at some point. And that's why they were able to be good. But their legacy on NASCAR will not be lost. I think that they, they ran well and played hard, and it's all you can really ask for. So it'll suck to see them gone, but and hopefully the drivers, we already know what's going to happen with most of the drivers. Hopefully the other ones get figured out as we go down the line, and of course they'll still be Haas Automotive, so hopefully they can, not fall too far and keep going in honor of Stewart Haas Racing. So salute you all. Farewell. Now we'll get to the New Year's Eve Spectacular. This is again in no particular order, but we'll restart from the top. We'll go with the drivers that got in off of wins first. And those drivers are Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, William Byron, Daniel Suarez, Chase Elliott, Ty Gibbs, Austin Cindric, Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman, Austin Dillon. Yes, I'm counting his win. Harrison Burton, Chase Briscoe, Chris Buescher, Ross Chastain, and Ricky Spinhouse. Some first-timers in there. Obviously, Ty Gibbs, I think he's making his second consecutive appearance. Austin Cindric is back in it for the first time since 2022. Alex Bowman's also in it for the first time since 2022. Austin Dillon is back for the another year. Harrison Burton is making his debut, as well as the return for Ricky Spinhouse after, a pretty abysmal 2023 run. And then other drivers, then of course Joey Logano also got in with wins, but he also had the Champions Provisional. Kyle Larson also got in, even though he also got an off a win, even though he had the Champions Provisional. A few other drivers did need their Champions Provisionals to get in, though. Those being Kyle Busch, AJ Allmendinger, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., who will be making his true final Cup Series start as a full-time driver in this race, and Jimmy Johnson. So that is your full lineup. 23 drivers will be competing for that title in about a month and a half now at the time of this video going up. And of course, it'll probably be pre-recorded and then premiered on the channels I've done the last few years, just because I cannot guarantee that I will have enough time to do it, just because it's life, man. I can't. It's not my full-time. This is not my full-time job, so I can't guarantee that I'm going to have anything to do with it. But I can at least tell you who's going to be in the race. And to end off, I will predict who I think is going to win. I, of course, have to pick Chase Elliott. Duh. Of course I gotta pick him. Duh. So, there we go. That's all I really had to say, though. Like I said, it's been fun this year. And, of course, we'll see you back January 3rd. When we do our post-New Year's Eve Spectacular episode. And, there's all the other stuff. But you'll be seeing lots of other content from both me and Hitmaster during that time. And if you would like to be a guest on Talking NASCAR Podcast in any future upcoming episode, all you gotta do is join the Pringles and Company Discord. Links in the description down below. request to talk NASCAR role, and we'll get you on and hopefully talk some NASCAR. So, but otherwise, guys, that's going to do it for this video as well. Stay tuned, like I said, for much more amazing content. Till next time, we'll see you guys in 2025. Goodbye.